Hey everybody, I'm Michael Monaco.
And I'm Bobby Salveson, and we are the HazMat Guys, bringing you the knowledge and insight to make your job a little bit easier and safer. But before today's show, let's listen to our sponsors. Hey guys, when you're on a hazmat run, we want you to be safe. We want you to feel confident that you have the best equipment available and that you are ready to respond. That's where All Safe Industries comes to mind. They have technical experts on staff that offer the latest in detection and emergency response equipment from the most reputable brands in the industry. All Safe Industries takes the time to understand your needs, and they offer unique options in their in-case calibration gas detection kits. They also hold a GSA contract and offer GSA pricing to state and local agencies. All Safe Industries is veteran-owned and has been serving first responders from coast to coast since 1996. Visit allsafeindustries.com or call 888-972-3389. That spells 8889-SAFETY. Hey guys, you know we say it all the time. In emergency responses, clear and reliable radio communication is essential. And that's why Cavcom's award-winning Talk Through Your Ears technology is compatible with any two-way radio, any suit, and any respirator. Visit CavComInc.com, that's CAVCOMINC.com, or call them at 866-547-4988.
Now let's get into the show.
So what do we got tonight? We have first off, we have a hot wash. Right. So,
Yes.
Do you want me to open it? You know more about it than I do.
I don't, like so many of the things that we do, for those of you who don't really understand how we operate, we try to go into these shows with as little knowledge between me and Bob as possible. And that's so that we can have natural reactions to things, almost like a normal conversation. So if I bring up something, this is not a point that Bob knows I'm going to bring up. It's coming off. It's
Right.
a natural tendency, which tends to sometimes put each other on the spot every once in a while. But I really, other than having briefly read this email, I don't know, when did we get this? Maybe a month ago? I can't even remember what's on it because we get so many emails. But we are going to go ahead and read it, and we're just going to kind of react to it because, again, this is not our run. But even with that said, we're not necessarily going to give the times and places, not the place and the names, because I think that was supposed to be kept,
it doesn't really
on the
matter.
Hush. It
All right,
definitely
so
doesn't.
start
So go ahead.
Good.
What do we got?
We have and this is, I'm actually starting with a disclaimer. The title of this is Nitric Acid and Acetone Mixture Explosion. I gave you the punchline.
Yes.
So
that is the punchline.
The problem is that everybody's like, oh, well, it's nitric acid and acetone. So they're already formulating their PPE, their response, their this, their that. Pretend like I didn't even tell you that. Pretend that you are rolling up on an unknown. And start there. So, Mike, go ahead. Read your first paragraph.
All right. So, 11:08 on February 12th, 2019, Local 911 receives a report of a chemical explosion in a lab within a research and development division of a company. The caller indicates that there had been an explosion in the lab and that there were no
Dispatch
injuries.
indicated there was two chemicals involved were nitric acid and acetone. The first two engine companies immediately requested a primary hazmat company who subsequently made the immediate request for a secondary team. The total response included two engines, one BC, battalion chief, one safety officer, one division chief, one hazmat, which consisted of a captain, an engineer or driver or chauffeur, two firefighters, and hazmat 2, which is a captain and two firemen, and there was a total of 6 hazmat technicians on scene.
Okay, so real quick, because I see the first words of the next paragraph, and I'm just going to stop and not talk about that. I want to, from your point of view, Bob, don't read that paragraph. So the initial responding engine company to that, they would be operations level. What do you think what would their role in something like this be? If they were on the phone to you and they were like, hey, Bob, this is what we're going to. I don't remember any of this shit from like Proby school. What should I do? what kind of things would you be like, okay, you need to focus on this, and this? Okay.
Seriously, like pick up that orange book that's in the glove holder that I know you have no gloves in. Pick it up.
Yeah,
Nobody has gloves in those things. There's whatever. Anyway, it's the iPhone chart. Whatever. Anyway, I would say you're going to park upwind, uphill, upstate, whatever it might be, and pick up the ERG. I'd start them there.
All right. I would definitely start from there. I would say if they were responding in, I would try to tell them, interview, try to talk to somebody, try to get the name of the chemical so you can go to the ERG. If there's anybody that has been hurt, right, they need to be medically evaluated and deconned. You need to strip them, do an emergency decon, and get them off to the ambulance. I would be like, don't touch anything if you can help it. And if in the process of doing that you get stuff on you, you need to go ahead and do an emergency decon of yourself, take off your bunker gear, and then wash yourself down.
I think that's all sound advice. Because actually, just before we started recording, my son was talking about one of the chemicals in question, nitric acid, and I said, well, he goes, what happens if it comes in front of you? And he goes, do you die? I go, well, are you touching it? And he goes, no. And then I'm like, then no, you don't die. A lot of chemicals do not come and find you. And if you go to find it,
they're not,
then go touch it, you're an idiot.
They're not these big bad assassins that are like seeking you out.
That's the thing is, like, a lot of people think that like these chemicals are coming to find you. There are the crowd of people that will come to find you. And then there are the crowd of people that will come to find you and get into you without your will. That's a problem.
Right. Like, stay back. Stay back. All right. So the first arriving engine company assumed command and began to size up of the building and the situation. Perfect. Representative from the company indicated the mixture of nitric acid and acetone had been inadvertently created, and the employee handling the container placed the mixture in the corner of the lab. All right, so right away, they've talked to somebody, they've established what it is, and kind of a quick rundown of what happened. The employee noticed the evidence of an exothermic reaction, which is basically heat, probably bubbling, and was apparently looking for a secure disposal area for the mixture, but the lab he walked into didn't have one. The initial incident commander procured SDS sheets for both chemicals, and the company's personnel sketched a map of the incident area. So far, I have no issues with
Not at
the
all.
operations.
And in fact, I'm going to come back to this point later, although I really like how they did that. Like they provided sketches. Like that's top notch.
I got to be honest with you. That may not be something that I would think about asking. Hey, can you just draw
totally.
out what
If you
the
can
inside
do
looks
that
like?
to say, hey, listen, give me the floor plan and then draw how my best entrance and egress. Where would you jump if things go sideways? Where would you go? What door would you go into? So that's that's good stuff, man. All right. The lab was approximately 1,000 to 1,200 square feet, with one wall lined with cubicles for the employees and a large work area with all the expected materials for a chemical research lab, except a safe place to discard potentially hazardous waste. The container was a 4-gallon carboy. Carboy is typically glass. That's just a side note for that. And had been placed in a rolling cart in the far corner of the lab area. There was a cubicle partition on the one side of the cart and the exterior walls on two sides. We had access to the lab via the main entrance to the building with a long walk-through hallways that led to the incident area. So it was, honestly, it was a typical lab. Like, seriously, it wasn't anything special. There was a 4-gallon carboy, which for those of you that dabble in the brewing like I do, we deal with 4, 5, and 6-gallon carboys. These are old school. Think about a water cooler jug that's on top of the thing. That's a 5-gallon a.k.a. plastic carboy. Call it that.
And if it's the ones that you use,
they're
glass. They're pretty. Like that glass is not.
Oh no,
glass.
dude! I'm telling you, I had one that was cracked around the neck, and I had my son with a regular claw hammer on this thing 2 or 3 times, and I was kind of like, toughen up and hit it harder. And he was like, "I'm trying," and I tried twice, and it bounced off. So. Yeah, he was toughing it out, but it was substantial.
So if a carboy like that had the ability to be placed under pressure, it could develop some serious energy.
Absolutely. There can be some real energy inside the carboy, both positive and negative.
Okay, so based upon those layouts and things like that, where do you think you would start to draw the hot zone for this? Because, and I ask this question because we talk about like acetone and we talk about nitric acid. When we talk about hot zones a lot of times we're thinking, oh, I'm just going to see what pops up on my meter. But in reality, like if you grabbed your 5-gas, you may not necessarily pick up any of this stuff on a 5-gas. Maybe a little on the the acetone with the PID, but in reality, probably not so much. So what would your thoughts be on where am I establishing a hot zone?
All right, so knowing what they knew, and we're not done with the story. I just want to let everybody know this. Knowing what they knew they had acetone and nitric acid commingling, we'll say. They had a relatively, and it doesn't say anything about evacuation or anything like that. They have an open floor. I'm assuming they went in with, it looks like they, based upon what I'm reading on the next part, what they brought in there, they had a pretty good indicator of what was going to go down, right? So I would like to know if my pH starts going sideways, right? Because you got the nitric acid, which is a corrosive. That's going to send my pH paper left and right. I got my acetone, which is a flammable. That's going to send my LEL up and down. And I'm using bullshit up and down, left and right. It doesn't really physically do that.
Right.
Because some people might be going, wait, mine doesn't go up and down.
Wait, what meter goes up?
Exactly.
What meter goes left? My pH paper just turns red.
These are two very different things, right? Acetone is more of the flammability. It does have a little bit of a health issue, and then you got the nitric, which is mostly a health and almost not. Actually, it is not a flammability issue. It is a little bit of an instability if you start getting to like the fuming type thing. We're not talking about that. Let's just not get crazy. So if I saw my pH or my LEL start ticking up, I would start having concern. That's it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that my initial thought would be, okay, if this is in a lab, let's confine the lab and make that the hot zone. However, I'm going to walk in with my pH paper because, like you said, the acetone really is kind of and the nitric acid is really the one that's like, oh, crap. And then if I'm starting to turn before that lab, I'll draw a line and say, okay, here's my hot zone.
Basically, your meters are going to determine it. And in this situation where maybe the meters aren't determining it as per numbers, when your spidey senses start tingling, you drop your cones. And there's nobody going to be like, well, you were too aggressive or too safe. No. Nobody's saying that.
No.
Like, seriously.
No.
So,
no, not at all.
I want to give the next paragraph here because it kind of plays into what we're saying here. You've heard us talk about First Line Technologies' Dahlgren Decon solution and the FiberTech wipes and mitts. They've just come out with Enhanced Decon Systems Kit, which contains everything you need to quickly decontaminate 6 to 24 operators and all their gear in one fully equipped grab-it-and-go bag. This kit has been HazMat team tested and approved, and it's the only full-team modified decon kit with the power of Dahlgren Decon and FiberTech wipes to counter hundreds of known and emerging threats. The EDS kit is perfect for incidents where a small footprint, low logistics decontamination SOP is appropriate. Are you operating in a harsh environment? No problem. Whether it's minus 10 or 104 degrees F, Dahlgren Decon will maintain its effectiveness and can be easily applied to neutralize threats. The kit is stable in temperatures from minus 40 to 160 degrees F if you carry the RSDL with you. If you use all the consumables in the kit, unlike other rapid deployment kits, you do not need to buy a complete kit to resupply. Just purchase one of the first-line EDS replenishment packs and order just the elements you need. When ounces count and the clock is ticking, grab the EDS kit and go. Call the guys at First Line Technology for more information or a quote at 703-955-7510 or email them at sales@firstlinetech.com.
They determined the hot zone to be the lab area, which we talked about, and so we're kind of in agreement with that, and had control access through 2 doorways. The corner of the lab that was directly involved with the explosion was visible through one of the doors down a short hallway. The second door was used for the HazMat team entry because it was a shorter hallway with a left turn to enter the lab, and another left turn gets to the corner where the explosion occurred. So they basically did the quickest way in and out. The longer entry was also allowed hazmat techs to use an emergency decon shower in the main hallway before going through the decon outside of the facilities. That is a very interesting point that may go unnoticed if not pointed out. And I really like it because I didn't think about this until I started teaching in the industry world. The longer entry allowed the hazmat technicians to use the decon shower in the main hallway. Just because you're thinking emergency decon and we're firefighters and we stretch a hose line and our water comes from a truck doesn't mean your emergency decon has to be that. If you go into facilities that have chemicals, almost all of them are going to have a decon shower somewhere. And I would really, really, really implore you as a technician, even as an incident commander, to consider this to also be used as your technical decon as well. My reason for that is it is going to make your cleanup process a lot easier in the long run.
Because we're all lazy.
Especially if you're doing... well, no, but just think about it in general,
efficiency.
Right? So
that's honestly what it is.
It's efficiency, right? I'm still doing my 3 car wash decon. Right? We all kind of know what I'm talking about. I've got water that I have to get rid of. I have pop-up pools I have to get rid of. Like, logistically, a lot of stuff is being created. If you have a lab like this, and if you have industry, a lot of times those drains are going to be connected to hazardous waste holding tanks. Like, they're specifically designed to take chemical spills and take these things and safeguard them. And then it just becomes the facility's responsibility. So it is definitely something to think about when you go into a lab or you go into a facility or a manufacturing industry that's using chemicals. Look around. What do they have that I can use that I don't have to break out my equipment?
Such a quickly overlooked thing in hazmat is not reading the trying to think of the word, the size up. For lack of, it is a size up.
It is. It's a size up. You see a shower. It's an emergency shower. You don't even think about using it.
But we don't have something as snazzy as the fire department. Like, in the fire department, we have Colwa's Wealth, right? And that's just one of the iterations of it. Like, the weather, the environment, the elevation, blah, 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 blah. And we don't have that in hazmat. We don't have Colwa's Wealth, where you can say, well, I effectively expect to see these things, and we don't have that. You know what? We're going to make that. It's going to be called... I can't think of something fast enough.
I can't think of something. I'm like trying to think of, like, I don't know, boats on patrol.
It's going to be like clowns and big feet. No, it's going to be something ridiculous. And we're going to think of it, and we're going to hazmat trademark it, and you're going to own part of it. So anyway.
And you have to give us a quarter every time you say it.
All right, so next part. The hazmat captains assume the roles of operations and hazmat safety. Hazmat officers elected to use level B for entry And the initial entry team consisted of 2 entry personnel with acid-absorbent pads, Draeger tubes of nitric acid and acetone, pH paper, 5 gas, set up for O2, CO, LEL, VOC, and H2S, the standard operations. VOC, right? Yeah, it's the 5. That's the standard 5.
Yes,
and the initial
5, yes.
action plans consist of the 2-man team entering through the main hallway, assessing the situation for the presence and or concentration of vapors, amount of area involved, initial pH reading of the wet spill area, and if possible, stop any remaining reactions from taking place. Now, all of that is sound. I could not think of a single thing I would do different.
I was going to ask you what
0.
your thoughts were on them going in a level
Dude,
B. And
they went one plus
because
I wouldn't even do the Draeger tubes for nitric and acetone. That is gold if you have that ability.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit. We don't have the ability.
We do.
We
Draeger
have
tubes?
the ability. I don't know if I would count on it to make a tactical decision.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then kind of my question on the Draeger tubes is, so I don't have anything against Draeger tubes, but if I'm going to walk into there, my question would be, okay, well, when do I break it and use it? Am I doing it when I'm there? Am I doing it when my pH paper turns? Am I doing it after the cleanup to see if there's anything still left? What is the purpose of the Draeger tube? I have my pH paper. So if that turns,
yeah,
it's I just kind of wonder. Right? Do I take 2? Do I take 3? Do I do it when I first entered? Am I ongoing? Am I what tactically? What is the thought process involved with? I got no problem bringing it. Listen, the more information it can have, the better. But my question would be: is how are you going to use that information tactically? And when you're carrying all this stuff and you're doing all this stuff, what additional information is it going to provide me, or is it just doing something to do something?
Right. Exactly. Is it tactically pertinent? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's this one. I gotta say, my paragraph that I just said, I'm very happy with that.
I'm very happy. My only thought is the Draeger tubes as to why I probably wouldn't bring them in, but I have absolutely zero issue with somebody else bringing them in. All right. So the initial report was that the carboy had exploded and sprayed the area from floor to ceiling in nitric acid acetone mixture. Kind of evil. All right, we won't go there. All right. Evil. The mixture was fluid with some drying taking place. I would assume most liquid mixtures would be fluid, with some drying taking places in the nearest cubicle and on the vertical surfaces where the concentration of liquid was minimalized. Okay, makes sense. So basically where it sprayed off, dripped down, there wasn't a lot, it started to dry. Initial pH readings confirmed the presence of strong acid. Air monitoring indicated very slight VOC readings, like 1 part per million, which I totally would agree with. They're saying of nitric acid. I'm not sure if the VOC would pop up the nitric acid or if that would be the acetone, but that's okay. Entry Team 1 covered the spill on the floor with acid absorbent pads and applied a thin layer of neutralizing powder that was provided by the facility. Also, another awesome move is to use the things that the facility has. Like, a lot of places will specialize in a chemical, and they may have more expertise on that specific chemical than you do. So I think that's awesome that the facility was like, hey, use this to neutralize. And they were like, okay, cool. I probably would do some quick research. I'm not saying they did or they didn't. It's not told here. But I think I would just confirm with my resource guy and be like, hey, listen, they're giving me product ABC. Is that good? Wait for him to he or she to give me the heads up. Be like, yep, you're good to go. And then I would go for it. I think that's great.
Use the people.
Use what's around you.
These guys, and we were just today, we were at a loading facility for a multitude of gases, cryogenics and pressurized gases. And so we met with the facility manager in our district, who's close to us. But the guy we were talking specifically about cryogenic dewars. And we were like, listen, what valves do we need to shut and what valves do we need to open or leave alone? And the guy basically told us, he goes, close everything. We're like, yeah, but there's going to be, it's a dewar. It's a thermos. It's going to build up pressure. He goes, yeah, they built it for that. He goes,
right. Every spot on those tanks has every part that can be a closed system on one of those tanks has a pressure release device. It wasn't a
surprise to this guy, and he was like, yeah. It was like matter of factly. And so 6 of our guys were like, yeah, but what are we going to do about that? Like he was, I don't want to say it the wrong way, but they were almost kind of like trying to tell him, yeah, but you don't understand. And this guy sees 25,000 fillings and discharge of these things a year. And he's like, no, you don't understand.
You don't understand.
And I was picking up what he's laying down, and I'm like, yeah, we don't get what you're saying. And so what Mike was saying with this whole, this pH reading and this nitric oxide, nitric acid and the acetone, these guys that deal with this stuff are huge assets. Like, these guys know it.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the guys that transport it. I'm talking about the guys that deal with it.
That are using it
they
on a regular basis.
Don't put A with B. There are a few that know why you don't put A with B, but there are some that know why you don't put A with B. Those guys are typically in charge. Those guys that know why aren't the guys that are turning the valves for very long. The cream rises to the top very quickly.
But even the guy that's been turning the valve for 20 years is going to let you know, hey, listen.
Don't do that.
Don't mix that blue stuff with that green stuff. Like, whatever you do,
and typically,
don't do it.
They will have that swagger. And I can't say it in any, if you want the New York accent, they have the swagger. Right? That's
they know what they're doing.
Right? So those are the guys in the jeans and the Comisiams up on the black, the fence. Right? You grab those guys. You see them. You hang with those guys on the back fence, and you see them, and those are the guys, those, I hate saying this word, SMEs. These, I hate to say, I want to
smack you. I want to reach across the screen and smack you.
I spit. Subject matter experts. Those guys know exactly what happens when you put A with B. When I went out to California and we did 3 or 4 days in a major airlines hangar for replating. And I was like, why the hell would they replate in California? Well, this company, this manufacturer, takes broken, or I'm going to say not broken, but worn down airline gear, the front landing gear, let's say. And it costs $75,000 to make a new one. And they say, well, we'll take it, we'll rebore it, we'll replate it, and we'll give it back to you for $30,000. They're like, that's a deal. So this plant does that stuff, and they have hydrofluoric, sulfuric, nitric, chromic, I mean, you name it, stuff that would make a hair stand up. And these
at the
airport, and these guys are dealing with it on a daily basis. And the point was, this one guy in the middle of the field of these vats of acid was the SME. You would never know it. The guy had a long beard. He had a lazy eye. He had a ponytail. He had a flannel shirt on. You would dismiss this guy immediately. But this guy knew every nuance of this facility, this thing that would kill you in a heartbeat. So please take a periscope look about before you commit to any operation. Try to go to that SME. I hate saying it. Oh my God.
And just as a side note, I'm gonna have to talk to you off air because I want to know what airlines is flying around in a refurbished airplane.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Exit Team 1 exited the lab through the main hallway and used emergency showers in the hallway. Love that.
Great.
Now,
phenomenal.
We'll get back to that, but you have to make sure that the drains are open. For a quick decon before exiting the building, for a simple water decon performed by an engine company staffed with hazmat operations level firefighters. Entry Team 2 made entry in level B suits to prevent the contamination of turnout gear. I like that. And to monitor conditions after initial mitigation measures. Entry Team 2 applied more neutralizing agents to areas not previously treated and tested on the material's resulting pH. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Only because they use this. I'm not saying you have to. The pH, I'm sorry, the showers in the hallway for quick decon. I like that. What I don't like, and it's a one side of the coin versus the other side of the coin. You can build whatever side you want. I don't like it because I don't know if it works. I do like it because it's smart. I like my decon corridor because I know that it works. I don't like it because I got to do a lot of work to get rid of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you could mesh the two together. You know, you could be like, all right, well, we're going to set up a technical decon here. Like, here's the shower. You're going to step in it. I'm going to rinse you down just like I would in pool 1. I'm going to then scrub you down, and I'm going to rinse you again in the same spot. And then I'm going to dry you off. I'm going to test you real quick, make sure you got nothing else on you, and then you're on your way.
Makes sense. It makes sense. Seriously, it makes sense.
It makes sense. So, all right. Once the material was brought back to a neutral state, Entry Team 2 exited the facility, followed the same decon procedure and path as Entry Team 1. Entry Team 1 made an additional sweep for an additional sweep of the lab for air monitoring before the outside contractor began to clean up the affected area. So they really did. They went in there. They stabilized everything. They're not saying they cleaned it up, which is fine. Listen, I'm totally cool with letting a contractor get in and making his dollars. We went in. We did what we had to do. We mitigated everything, and they were pretty good to go. So one of the things that we often ask people to do is to kind of give a little synopsis of, hey, listen, like, what did you feel like you learned on this? Because everybody kind of takes away different stuff, and the best scenarios always have something that you can walk away with. So I'm going to read. Should I just read this? What they wrote?
Let's listen to it.
All right. So this was their little response. As a new hazmat technician, I learned that we have a generational gap in our leadership and downrange techs. We seem to have a hammer to the head approach from the leadership. At the beginning of this run, we had a sealed scene with strong acid on the walls, floors, ceilings, and surrounding surfaces. At the end of this run, we had a strong base on the floor, surfaces, and the areas of the walls with strong acid on the ceiling and areas that we could not reach with the neutralizing agent. I would like to see more concentrated effort to use on-site neutralization to return our scene to neutral rather than arbitrarily throwing neutralizing agent around until the pH turns blue. We had two first-time techs downrange on this call, and while the contamination was not a high risk, I did not feel as though we were prepared to address the scene as needed. We need more training with both groups of hazmat teams working together and engine companies dedicated to assisting with donning suits. I'm assuming donning and doffing. We need 2 engine companies to assist with decon and doffing suits. We also need to train on neutralization before attempting to do it in the field. In my own personal and professional opinion, we were not ready for a true hazmat-related emergency from the administrative level down to the individuals suiting up downrange. Our issues are not unfixable, but will take time and effort to rectify. I did benefit from the use of the Draeger tubes for the first time and built confidence in my ability to go downrange in an adverse environment to complete my assigned task.
You know,
I'm like,
no,
wow.
That is, for anybody that is listening to this and is like, well, you know. Don't give me the well, you knows. That is the most realistic thing I've heard in a very long time in special operations, hazmat, whatever the hell you want to call it. That is dressing down to your underwear. And that is real good stuff. That's
what the technicians walk away from like, I got to tell you, like, we talk to high-end people, chiefs, incident commanders, and they're always like, yeah, no, there really was nothing learned. And I'm telling you, if you run a team, if you're a chief, if you're an officer, talk to your technicians about how something went. I promise you that how you feel something went as an incident commander versus how a technician feels something went as a technician is going to be vastly different. Now, we just walked through that run step by step. We gave our own opinions on how everything was going, and I felt like I walked away from this run being like, all right, man, that was a good job. Everyone did good. Like, this was good. And now we get kind of that raw breakdown from the technician, and he had certain problems that bumped out to him, and this is absolutely critical. This is why we do this.
I'm gonna kind of wrap this thing up with this is that any incident commander or officer that thinks they got a handle on it, you need to go back to school. And I'm not saying that from the fireman's perspective and, this guy thinks he knows all it is. If you think you did well and do not need improvement, your time to retire is now. Because if you think you're doing operations and you're doing that good, you're sadly mistaken. Anybody, from Proby, from INDOC, whatever the hell you want to call yourself, up to the point of chief of department, if you think you are that good and you do not need to fix things, you are wrong. I'm going to say it flat out. I don't know anybody.
Flat out. And if you don't believe us, I got 13, 14 years in a hazmat company. Go listen to one of what maybe it was like 178 where I totally screwed up a CO2 run.
I'm not happy. If you have a moment, please head over to iTunes and leave us a positive review. And don't forget to check out the book, National Emergency Response Hazmat Drills, or NERD, on Amazon.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the HazMat Guys.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel at the HazMat Guys. And take a moment to call our comment hotline at 843-628-1484 and go to www.thehazmatguys.com and sign up for the newsletter.
We seriously look forward to your feedback about any of the information provided, and we also want to hear about interesting incidents that you were a part of. So you can send us a note at feedback@thehazmatguys.com. And remember, any of the information that you share with us, if we put it on air, can always remain anonymous.
Remember, guys, don't just get on the job. Get into the job.